eventually when I got going, because I struggled at the start at Sunderland. It was hard.
Song, in the sense of, you know, you were living hard, drinking and gambling was a big part of your life. You're a young man and you weren't.
The tragedy of Niall Quinn. At 59 years old, this Irish football legend faced a darkness that nearly consumed him. After hanging up his boots in 2004, Quinn described that year as a real bad year. It felt dark, he admitted. It was tough getting out of bed sometimes. He called retirement a death within your life. Imagine going from being a major star to Mr. Joe Public overnight. That brutal shift in identity left him in a void most footballers never talk about. But here is the real question. Is Niall Quinn still trapped in that depression today? Before we answer that, I want to ask you something. Have you ever experienced a massive change in your life that left you feeling lost? Maybe you lost a job, ended a relationship, or moved away from everything familiar. If Quinn's story resonates with you, drop your experience in the comments below. And if you want more honest looks at football legends beyond the glory, hit that subscribe button. These stories matter. Now, back to Quinn at 59. The answer is no, he is not still depressed. But the reality is far more interesting than a simple recovery story. Because in 2024, his entire world revolves around the very trauma that nearly broke him. His wife, Niall Quinn, presented her PhD research in March 2024 at a major sports conference. Her topic? How professional footballers can experience a smooth transition into retirement. Her research revealed that 75% of professional footballers divorce within 3 years of retiring. She traced this back to a massive identity crisis, mental health issues, and loss of sense of purpose. Gillian has been vocal about this before, openly admitting that when Niall retired, we went through our difficulties. Think about that. His tragedy has become an academic focus in his own home. And Niall himself? In 2024, he is the founder and president of Team Taka. This venture works with youth football clubs to create podcasts that educate, inspire, and empower the next generation. In a February 2024 podcast, Quinn talked about mindful communication and how it can greatly influence the mental health and overall well-being of young athletes. This is not just a job for him. He is turning his trauma into his work. He is giving young players the support he never had. The focus on mindful communication is deliberate. It addresses the exact gaps that existed throughout his career, where nobody asked how he was coping mentally, where nobody checked in when he was isolated at Arsenal, where nobody prepared him for the psychological devastation of retirement. But to understand why his pain cut so deep, we need to go back to where it all began. Quinn arrived at Arsenal from Ireland and exploded onto the scene. In December 1985, he scored on his debut against Liverpool, helping Arsenal win 2-0. Under new manager George Graham, Quinn became a regular in the 1986-87 season, making 35 league appearances. He was key to the team's success, and they won the 1987 League Cup at Wembley. It was George Graham's first trophy with Arsenal. At that moment, Quinn looked like a crucial part of Arsenal's future. The promise was real. The dream was alive. Young, talented, and scoring goals for one of England's biggest clubs, Quinn seemed destined for greatness. But then, everything changed. In 1987, Arsenal signed striker Alan Smith from Leicester City. Quinn later called Smith a massive obstacle and the finished article. The problem was not just that Smith was good, it was that Quinn's style, his physical presence as a tall target man, made Arsenal tactically predictable in the eyes of the manager. George Graham and his coaching staff believed Quinn's sheer presence on the pitch gave away their game plan. Suddenly, Quinn became invisible. He turned into a peripheral figure, making only 20 league appearances over the next 3 seasons. 3 entire seasons reduced to just 20 games. That is barely more than half a season's worth of football spread across 3 years. The worst moment came during Arsenal's greatest triumph. In the 1988-89 season, Arsenal won the league title in dramatic fashion. But Quinn only made 3 appearances that season. He did not play enough to qualify for a winner's medal. He was a ghost at his own club's celebration. While his teammates lifted the trophy trophy and celebrated their achievement, Quinn stood on the sidelines, technically part of the squad, but effectively invisible. Then came the night that almost ended his career. At the formal awards ceremony, the club chairman, Peter Hill-Wood, walked up to Quinn's table. Instead of congratulating him, the chairman handed him a silver tray and asked, "What position did you play?" Quinn was so unknown at his own club that the chairman did not even know what he did. The humiliation was complete, and unlike his teammates who had earned appearance money and bonuses, Quinn could not afford a taxi home that night. He left the ceremony and took the N29 night bus. Sitting alone on that bus, watching London pass by through the window, Quinn almost quit Arsenal on the night bus home, as he later revealed. That journey became a symbol of his isolation. That bus ride represented everything wrong with his situation. Invisible, forgotten, and alone. Quinn began to feel like a hostage at Arsenal. The situation became unbearable, so he submitted a written transfer request at the start of the 1989-90 season. He admitted he very nearly quit the game altogether. His international manager, Jack Charlton, had warned him that he needed regular football to make the 1990 World Cup squad. The pressure was crushing. He was trapped between a club that did not want him and a national team that needed him playing regularly. Finally, in March 1990, Quinn escaped. He joined Manchester City for £800,000. Looking back, he said, "I was glad to get out of there, but the damage was done." This period taught Quinn that his identity and value could be erased overnight. It was the original trauma, the first death within his life. The psychological scars from Arsenal would never fully heal. They would shape every crisis that followed. At Manchester City, Quinn was reborn. He scored 22 goals in his first full season. He became a national hero for Ireland, scoring the crucial equaliser against the Netherlands in the 1990 World Cup. For a moment, everything seemed right again. The nightmare at Arsenal felt like a distant memory. Quinn had proven his doubters wrong. He was back where he belonged, on the pitch, scoring goals, making a difference. The crowds loved him. His teammates respected him. He mattered again. He had value again. He had an identity again. But success only raised the stakes for what came next, because this time, the crisis came from his own body. In November 1993, Quinn was playing against Sheffield Wednesday when disaster struck. He sustained a devastating cruciate ligament injury. The injury ended his season. He missed the majority of the 1993-94 campaign and made only 18 total appearances. But the real blow was the timing. The injury prevented him from playing in the 1994 FIFA World Cup. For a player in his prime, missing football's biggest stage was heartbreaking. His own words reveal the pain. "My first memory is being so gutted to miss out. But there was something even worse." Quinn believed he could have played. "I had a cruciate injury, but I felt I would have been fit," he stated. The decision, however, was not his to make. In the end, Man City would not let me play. Once again, an external force, a club's authority, had stolen his power and robbed him of a career milestone. He was a hostage again. The powerlessness he felt was identical to his Arsenal years, except this time his own body had betrayed him first. The sense of control he thought he had rebuilt was revealed as an illusion. After 6 successful years at Manchester City, Quinn joined Sunderland in August 1996. He was 29 years old, and Sunderland paid a club record £1.3 million for him. But eyebrows were raised over the striker's injury record and age. The cynics, it turned out, were right at first. Almost immediately, Quinn suffered another knee injury. He spent most of his first season on Wearside injured. The club was relegated that season. Quinn had arrived as the record signing and supposed saviour, only to watch his body betray him again. The pattern of crisis and fragility continued. It seemed no matter where he went or how hard he tried, tragedy followed him like a shadow. Fast forward to 2004. Quinn retired from football, and the darkness closed in. It was a real bad year. It felt dark. It was tough getting out of bed sometimes. He called it a death within your life, that brutal shift from being a major star to Mr. Joe Public overnight. Quinn admitted he had not prepared properly for this transition. He needed a new identity, and fast. Without football, without the roar of the crowd, without the purpose that the game provided, Quinn found himself staring into a void. The structure that had defined his entire adult life was gone. The identity he had built was suddenly irrelevant. The adulation he had grown accustomed to vanished overnight. In 2006, Quinn led the Drummondville Consortium, a group of Irish businessmen, to buy Sunderland for £10 million. He became chairman and even briefly served as manager. He was no longer just a player, he was a saviour. This was his chance to rebuild his identity, to matter again. For a while, it worked. He was back in the spotlight, back making decisions, back feeling important. But this new identity soon created a controversy. By 2011, Quinn was deeply concerned about the extremely detrimental effect on our attendances caused by fans watching illegal 3 p.m. broadcasts in pubs. He made a public statement saying he despises fans who watch these illegal broadcasts rather than attending the stadium. He accused them of taking the easy option and damaging the progress of the club. The legend, built on fan love, was now fighting the fans. It was a controversy born from his fractured identity as both beloved former player and business-focused chairman. The man who once wore the shirt was now seen as just another businessman putting profits before passion. The disconnect between who he was and who he had become was widening. After leaving Sunderland in February 2012, Quinn tried to build an identity outside football. In 2011, he invested €700,000 in QSat, a satellite broadband company, and became its chairman. The business provided internet service to 3,000 homes in Ireland, but it shut down in 2017. This public and financial failure reinforced the tragedy. His attempts to find meaning outside football proved just as painful as his time on the Arsenal bench. The failure was public, documented, and humiliating in its own way. It was another rejection, another moment where his value was questioned, another reminder that success was not guaranteed. So here we are. The rejection at Arsenal, where a chairman did not even know what position he played. The devastating injury that cost him the 1994 World Cup. A dream stolen by circumstance and club policy. The pattern repeating at Sunderland, where his body failed him at the worst possible moment. The darkness of retirement, where he described feeling like something had died inside him. The controversy with fans, where the legend became the villain. The business failure, where even his ventures outside football collapsed. One tragedy after another, one identity crisis after another. Each time Quinn tried to rebuild, something knocked him back down. Each time he thought he had found stable ground, the earth shifted beneath his feet. The pattern was undeniable. The psychological weight was crushing. But at 59, Niall Quinn is not defined by depression. He is defined by his relationship with it. He has taken the pain of that N29 night bus ride, the gutted feeling of missing the World Cup, the darkness of his retirement void, and the controversy of his failures. And he has transformed them. His past is no longer his prison. It is his expertise. It is his qualification to help others. The very experiences that broke him have become the foundation of his purpose. His entire family is now focused on the problem that almost destroyed him. His wife's PhD research is literally about solving the identity crisis that footballers face. Her work examines the exact mechanisms that caused their marriage to struggle, the exact patterns that left Niall struggling to get out of bed. His entire job at Team Tarka is about giving young athletes the psychological tools and mindful communication he never had. From the chairman who did not know his position to the club that would not let him play in a World Cup, Quinn experienced powerlessness and invisibility over and over. He knows what it feels like to be forgotten, to be trapped, to be lost. He understands the weight of those feelings better than most people ever will. He has lived through the worst of what football can do to a person's mental health. Now, he is using that experience to light the way for others. He has not escaped the darkness by forgetting it. He has walked through it, understood it, studied it, and turned it into a mission. At 59, Niall Quinn's life is not sad. It is purposeful. His tragedy has been transformed into his life's work. And perhaps that is the most powerful ending to any story of struggle. Not that the pain disappeared, but that it found meaning. Not that the scars healed completely, but that they became a map for others to follow. Quinn did not let his tragedies define him. Instead, he used them to redefine his purpose. He turned his wound into his work, his trauma into his teaching, and his darkness into a light for the next generation of young athletes who will face their own struggles with identity and purpose. The man who once felt like a hostage has become a liberator for others, trapped in the same psychological prisons he endured. His story is proof that sometimes the greatest contribution you can make comes directly from your greatest pain, that your lowest moment can become the foundation for your highest purpose, that the struggles that nearly destroyed you can become the very thing that gives your life its deepest meaning. Niall Quinn is no longer living in tragedy. He is living with purpose born from that tragedy. Every podcast he records through Team Taker, every conversation about mindful communication with young players, every moment spent helping the next generation navigate the mental challenges of sport is a direct result of the pain he endured. The night bus ride that nearly ended his career has become the origin story of his mission. The injury that kept him from the World Cup taught him about powerlessness. And now he helps young athletes find their power. The darkness after retirement showed him the void. And now he helps others prepare for that transition before it becomes a crisis. His wife's research is not just academic work. It is their shared mission to prevent other families from experiencing what they went through